My name is Evan. I'm 29. And if someone had told me a year ago that my own brother would drive me to sabotage his wedding, I would have laughed it off as impossible. I'm not the vindictive type. I've always been the easygoing sibling, the one who picks up the slack, smooths things over, fixes problems without ever asking for credit. My younger brother, Tyler, 26, was the opposite. Reckless, impulsive, charming enough that people didn't notice how often he left others to clean up his messes. And somehow, even knowing all that, even after years of being the one he called to bail him out at 2 a.m. when he lost his wallet or forgot to pay a bill, I still agreed to help pay for his wedding. Actually, help is a nice way of putting it. I was the budget. It started almost a year before the date. Tyler and his fiancée, Amanda, got engaged at a family barbecue. He made a big scene about it, down on one knee, fireworks, the whole thing. Everyone clapped. Amanda cried. My mom immediately pulled me aside and whispered, "You will help him, right?" Like it was some unspoken obligation that because I had a stable job, a house, and no kids, I was automatically the safety net for everyone else's poor planning. I remember laughing it off at first. "We'll see," I said. But within a few weeks, I got the first call. "Bro," Tyler said, dragging the word out like a kid begging for a toy. "Venue prices are insane. Like, insane. And Amanda really has her heart set on this place by the lake. You know, the one with the huge oak tree? Please, man, just the deposit. I'll pay you back after the wedding." I should have known better. Anyone who says, after the wedding, is basically admitting they have no plan whatsoever. But against my better judgment, I agreed. I wired him the deposit, a few $1,000s, and tried to put it out of my mind. Except it didn't stop there. Next came the photographer, then the caterer, then the DJ. Every time, it was the same story, a late-night phone call, a desperate tone, some promise of repayment that I knew deep down would never materialize. By the time the invitations went out, I had paid for over 80% of the entire wedding. Tyler and Amanda had contributed almost nothing. Still, I kept telling myself it was worth it, for family, for the memories, for peace. The shift started about 2 months before the wedding. Amanda stopped replying to my texts about logistics. Tyler got shorter and shorter with me whenever I asked basic questions like, "What time should I arrive to help set up?" Or "Do you need me to coordinate anything else?" At first, I chalked it up to stress. Weddings are stressful, right? But then my mom let something slip over dinner one night. "They're thinking about having a family-only ceremony," she said, swirling her drink around like it was nothing. "You know, to keep things intimate." I stared at her. "I'm family." She had the grace to look mildly uncomfortable but covered it with a shrug. "Well, you know, immediate family. Like parents. Siblings can complicate things sometimes. They just want the pictures to look perfect." I felt my stomach tighten. "So, I'm complicating things now?" Mom waved her hand, dismissing my concern. "Don't be dramatic, Evan. You're still invited to the reception. It'll be fine." But it didn't feel fine. It felt like the air was slowly being sucked out of the room, like somehow I had gone from being the person holding this whole circus together to being an inconvenience they had to awkwardly work around. The final straw came exactly 1 week before the wedding. I was sitting at my desk at work, going over some contracts, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Tyler. "Hey bro, don't even think about showing up to the ceremony. We just want it to be about us, you know? No hard feelings. It's just better this way. You'd probably ruin the photos anyway." I stared at the message for a long time. Read it. Reread it. Made sure I wasn't misinterpreting it somehow. Ruin the photos. As if I was some hideous blemish they needed to scrub from their perfect day. As if the guy who had signed every check didn't even deserve a seat at the back. I didn't respond. I didn't call. I didn't rant or send an angry email. I just sat there, feeling something inside me shift. Something slow and cold and very, very final. That night, I pulled out the folder I had been keeping, all the contracts I had signed personally. See, because Tyler's credit was trash and Amanda's wasn't much better, most of the vendors insisted on my name being on the paperwork. My bank account had funded the venue, the catering, the photographer, the DJ, even the rental chairs and tablecloths. Every single reservation was tied to me, and every single one had a cancellation clause. It would have been easy to just call everyone and cancel right then and there. But I didn't. Not yet. I wanted to be sure. So I spent the next couple of days gathering everything, checking the deadlines, confirming the cancellation windows, making sure I could pull the plug without it costing me more than what I had already shelled out. I was methodical, detached. like I was organizing a file, not plotting the slow, brutal collapse of someone's wedding. Meanwhile, the family group chat blew up with last-minute excitement. Photos of Amanda getting her nails done. Memes about wedding jitters. Tyler sending pictures of the lakefront venue, gushing about how it was finally happening and how he couldn't wait to see everyone there. I watched it all in silence, like an outsider peering into a life he wasn't welcome in anymore. Then, 3 days before the wedding, my mom called. She sounded tense. "Hey, honey," she said, her voice overly bright. "So, Amanda's parents were asking, you're still good for the final payments, right? The venue needs the rest cleared before Saturday." "Oh, and the photographer said he needed his balance too. You got that covered." I blinked. "They're still expecting me to pay?" "Well, of course. You said you would help." I didn't argue. I didn't get defensive. I just said, "Got it, Mom," and hung up. That night, sitting at my kitchen table under the dim glow of the overhead light, I made the calls. One by one, I canceled everything. The venue? Canceled. Deposit non-refundable, but the remaining balance wiped. Catering? Canceled. Photographer? Canceled. DJ? Canceled. Every single thing they had bragged about, planned around, and posted about gone. And because all the contracts were in my name, there was absolutely nothing they could do to stop it. I sat back when it was done, feeling oddly calm. Not giddy, not vengeful. Just finished. Like closing the last page of a book you realized you should have stopped reading chapters ago. The next day, I stayed quiet. Watched as the group chat filled with chatter about the rehearsal dinner. About seating charts. About how Amanda wanted a grand entrance through the double doors of the hall I had just unbooked. I waited. And then, just before noon, the calls started coming in. First, it was Amanda's mom, frantic. Then Tyler, blowing up my phone with a dozen missed calls in under an hour. I didn't answer. I just watched the screen light up again and again as the carefully built illusion of their perfect day unraveled. I let the voicemails pile up all afternoon. I didn't even bother to listen to them. I could imagine what they said. Panic. Rage. Probably some desperate pleas mixed with a few choice insults. It was almost surreal how quickly the tide turned. Yesterday, I was the unwanted burden who would ruin the photos. Today, I was the invisible linchpin holding their entire fantasy together, and without me, it was all slipping through their fingers. By the time evening hit, the group chat had turned into a battlefield. Amanda's sister, Casey, posted first. "Does anyone know why the venue isn't answering? Mom's freaking out." Then Tyler, "Evan, did you mess with the venue? Answer your phone." A few seconds later, Amanda chimed in. "This isn't funny. Call me." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, it wasn't. It was sad, really. Sad how little they thought of me, how disposable I must have seemed to them, until they needed me. Until the walls started crumbling. I hadn't even touched the second part of my plan yet. The contracts were only the beginning. The final payment for the venue, the one my mom had so cheerfully reminded me about, wasn't due until the morning of the rehearsal dinner. And in the paperwork for the catering, the photographer, and the DJ, I had negotiated a special little clause. Final confirmation must be made by the paying client, me 48 hours before the event. No confirmation, no service. It was perfect. I didn't need to scream or make a scene. I just needed to wait. Quietly. Patiently. Letting the clock run out. By noon the next day, the day of the rehearsal dinner, I knew the fallout was starting to hit for real. Tyler's fiance's mother posted in the chat, "Emergency meeting. 5 p.m. at Mom's house. Everyone needs to be there." The word emergency was the part that really made it sink in. They were scrambling. Desperate. And I had the incredible luxury of doing absolutely nothing. That afternoon, my phone finally buzzed with a direct message from Tyler. Not a call this time. A text. "Bro, look, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on, but we really need you to fix it. Amanda's losing it. Just, whatever's happening, fix it. Please." No insults. No jokes about me ruining the photos. No smug winking emojis. Just please. For the first time in a very long time, I realized Tyler was actually scared. Not the fake kind of fear he used to have when he'd beg for money after blowing his paycheck at the casino. No, this was deeper. This was the fear of real consequences. The fear of realizing that maybe, just maybe, he had burned a bridge that actually mattered. Still, I didn't respond. Instead, I went for a walk. It was a beautiful evening, warm breeze, the faint smell of barbecue from a neighbor's yard, the lazy hum of cicadas. I took the long route around the neighborhood, breathing in the strange, bittersweet peace of it all. Meanwhile, the family group chat imploded. One of Amanda's bridesmaids, who I barely knew, posted, "I just called the caterer and they said the booking was canceled. What is going on?" Another message from Tyler, "Someone better fix this right now." And Amanda, in full meltdown mode, "If this wedding gets ruined because of your stupid family drama, I swear to God." The group chat went silent after that. I imagined them at Amanda's parents' house, everyone hunched over their phones, frantically Googling last-minute wedding venues, how to plan a wedding in 24 hours, and realizing, with dawning horror, that they couldn't afford anything without me. The deposits were non-refundable, but the remaining balances? They didn't have them. Not even close. Tyler's job barely covered rent on their tiny apartment. Amanda had quit her receptionist job months ago to focus on wedding planning. Both sets of parents had assumed, quietly, smugly, that I would keep covering any last-minute emergencies. They had built their entire fairy tale wedding on the assumption that my kindness was endless. That no matter how badly they treated me, no matter how many insults they muttered behind my back, I would always be there. Always loyal. Always invisible. Not this time. At 5 p.m. sharp, my mom tried calling me. I let it ring. Then my dad. Then my aunt. Then, surprisingly, Amanda's mother. Each time, I watched the screen light up and go dark. Light up. Go dark. I didn't even bother muting it. Their desperation was almost peaceful in a way, like background noise, fading further and further into the distance. Around 6 p.m., my doorbell rang. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door to find Tyler standing there. He looked terrible. His hair was a mess. His tie was loose and crooked around his neck like he'd put it on in a hurry and given up halfway through. There were deep shadows under his eyes, and he was breathing like he had sprinted all the way across town. "Evan," he started, voice cracking. "Man, please. You gotta help us. Just come back. Fix this. You can still come to the wedding. We'll take new photos. Whatever you want. Just please, don't let this happen." He looked so small standing there. Not the cocky younger brother who had laughed and joked about how he was finally getting the perfect day he deserved. Just a scared, desperate guy who realized, far too late, that burning bridges comes with a cost. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Calm. Detached. "Why would you want me there?" I asked quietly. "You said I'd ruin the photos." Tyler flinched like I'd slapped him. I was stressed, man. I didn't mean it." Amanda was freaking out and he trailed off, clearly realizing that blaming Amanda wasn't going to win him any points right now. I messed up. I know I did. For a long moment, we just stood there, him fidgeting nervously, me watching him with the kind of stillness that comes after a storm has passed and you're standing in the wreckage, too exhausted to even be angry. "You didn't just mess up, Tyler," I said finally. "You made it clear that I wasn't family to you anymore." "Not really. Not when it counted." His mouth opened and closed, like he wanted to argue but didn't know how. In the end, he just whispered, "I'm sorry." Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. It didn't really matter anymore. I didn't invite him in. I didn't offer to fix anything. I just gave him a small, almost sad smile. "Good luck tomorrow," I said. And then, without another word, I closed the door. Inside, I leaned back against it, heart pounding, not with guilt or regret, but with an overwhelming sense of relief. It was over. Or at least, I thought it was. Until the next morning, when I woke up to dozens of missed calls, a flurry of new messages, and a single, desperate email from Amanda herself that said, "You ruined everything. But you're not done yet. We'll make sure of that." I sat there for a long time, staring at Amanda's email. "You ruined everything. But you're not done yet. We'll make sure of that." The words burned into my mind, not because they scared me, but because of how wildly detached from reality they were. I ruined everything? After they used me, cut me out, humiliated me? After they treated me like some embarrassing problem they had to hide away from their perfect Instagram wedding album? The audacity would have been laughable if it didn't leave such a bitter taste in my mouth. I rubbed my temples, feeling the weight of the last few weeks catch up to me. Part of me wanted to delete the email, block them all, move on like none of this had ever happened. But I knew better. I knew Tyler and Amanda. They weren't the accept your consequences and move on kind of people. They were the throw gasoline on the fire and blame you for the smoke kind. Sure enough, within the hour, my phone buzzed again, a text from my mom. "Evan, we need to talk. Amanda's family is threatening to sue. This has gone too far." "Sue?" I actually let out a short, Humorless laugh. What exactly were they going to sue me for? Canceling contracts that I had legally signed and legally paid for? Contracts that clearly stated I had the right to terminate at any time before the event date? Good luck with that. Still, I knew what this was. It wasn't about the law. It was about pressure, guilt, family drama. They were counting on me caving, the same way I always had. But this time, I wasn't playing along. Instead of responding, I pulled up my email and forwarded every single contract to my personal lawyer. Just in case. I wasn't taking any chances. I wanted everything documented, every cancellation, every timeline, every clause they had signed off on without reading. I was done being the nice guy who cleaned up everyone else's mess without protecting himself. By mid-afternoon, the calls slowed down. Maybe they were realizing the reality of the situation. Maybe they were too busy scrambling for a backup plan. Curious, I opened social media and searched Amanda's name. It didn't take long to find it. There, in all its messy, chaotic glory, was Amanda's furious Facebook post. I cannot believe the selfishness of some people. After everything we did for you, after everything we let you be a part of, you destroyed the happiest day of our lives. We are done with you. Done. It was so full of rage, so full of entitlement, that I actually had to read it twice. I wasn't tagged, of course. Amanda was too smart for that. But she didn't have to tag me. Anyone who knew us could read between the lines. The comments were a mixed bag. Some people blindly offered sympathy. OMG babe, I'm so sorry. You don't deserve that. Others, the ones who actually knew our family history, were a little more skeptical. Sounds like there's more to the story. Isn't he the one who paid for everything? Maybe be nicer to the people funding your fantasy weddings next time? I smiled. Just a little. Not because I wanted public drama, I didn't. But because, for once, people were seeing the cracks Tyler and Amanda had worked so hard to cover up. As night fell, I thought about whether I should do anything else. Issue a public statement? Call someone to clear the air? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized. I didn't need to explain myself. Not to them. Not to anyone. They had made their choice. They had decided I was expendable. They had decided my money was welcome but my presence was not. They just didn't realize that when you cut someone off, you don't get to keep the benefits. I made dinner, something simple, and sat out on my back porch, letting the cool evening air wash over me. It felt peaceful. Like for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying someone else's problems on my back. But just as I was settling into that rare, fleeting peace, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a new number. I hesitated. Answering unknown numbers wasn't usually my thing, especially not now. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe a quiet instinct, made me pick it up. Hello. There was a pause. Then a voice I didn't immediately recognize, a man's voice, shaky, furious. You think you're so smart, he spat. You think you can just humiliate my family and get away with it? You have no idea who you're messing with. Click. The line went dead. I pulled the phone away from my ear and stared at it. Was that Amanda's dad? I hadn't even met the guy more than once or twice. He barely said 2 words to me at family events. And now he was threatening me over the phone like some cartoon villain? A slow, sinking feeling crept over me. This wasn't just about the wedding anymore. This was personal. And judging by that call, they weren't done trying to make me pay for it. Not by a long shot. For a few minutes after that call, I just sat there in the dark, staring at my phone, letting the quiet hum of the crickets fill the silence. It was almost funny, in a sad, pitiful way. After all the times I had helped them, after all the times I'd sacrificed my own time, money, and peace of mind to clean up Tyler's disasters, this was the thanks I got. Veiled threats from a man I barely knew and accusations from people who couldn't even spell gratitude if you spotted them half the letters. I could have gotten angry. Maybe a few years ago, I would have. Maybe I would have fired off a bunch of angry texts, maybe gone to confront them face to face, demanding they finally understand how much I had given them, how much I had given up for them. But sitting there that night, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not even sadness. Clarity. I realized I didn't need them to understand. I didn't need their approval. I didn't even need their apology. What I needed, what I had always needed, was distance. Real, unapologetic distance from the people who only saw me as useful when they were desperate and disposable when they were satisfied. They were right about one thing. I wasn't family anymore. And honestly, that was a blessing. The next morning, I woke up to find my phone stuffed with more messages. Angry rants. Empty threats. One message from Amanda's dad talking about taking me to court for emotional damages, which made me laugh out loud, the kind of short, sharp bark of laughter you can't even hold back. As if you could sue someone for choosing not to be walked all over. But tucked between all the nonsense was one text that caught my eye. It was from my aunt, Dad's sister, someone I hadn't heard from much since childhood. She had always been the black sheep of the family, the one who didn't understand how family worked, according to my mother. She kept her distance, didn't attend many gatherings, and whenever her name came up, it was with a shake of the head and a sad little sigh, like she was someone they pitied. Her text was short, just a few lines. Heard what happened. Proud of you. Took me 30 years to stop being their doormat. You did it in less than 30. Good for you. Call me if you ever want to grab coffee. I stared at it for a long moment. Smiled. Saved her number. Maybe, I thought, family wasn't about who you were born to. Maybe it was about who actually stood by you when it mattered. Maybe it was about respect, not obligation. By noon, the full fallout of the canceled wedding was making its way through the extended family. Word spread fast. My cousin Jen had texted me a screenshot of Amanda's frantic posts in a local Facebook wedding group, begging for last-minute vendors, offering to pay whatever it takes. I read through the comments with a mixture of amusement and grim satisfaction. Most responses were sympathetic. Some offered vague leads. But several pointed out that at less than 24 hours' notice, on a holiday weekend, no less, they were basically out of luck. I could picture it clearly. Amanda pacing in her parents' living room, makeup running, hair a mess, screaming into her phone while Tyler sat in the corner with his head in his hands, wondering how it had all gone so wrong so fast. Meanwhile, I was sitting at a small cafe downtown, sipping the best coffee I'd had in weeks, reading a book I had been meaning to finish for months. For the first time in longer than I could remember, there were no frantic calls demanding money, no guilt-tripping texts, no heavy cloud of obligation hanging over me. Just the quiet, simple freedom of being done. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed one more time. It was an email this time. From Tyler. The subject line reads simply, "Please." I opened it, more out of curiosity than anything else. Inside was a wall of text, clearly written in a panic. No grammar. No punctuation. Just a long, desperate stream of words begging me to come back. Begging me to make a few calls, to fix this, before it was too late. He promised he'd make it up to me. Promised we'd be brothers again, that it would be like it used to be. That Amanda didn't mean what she said, that their parents didn't mean to threaten me, that it was all just stress. At the very end, he wrote, "Please. I'm begging you. Don't let this happen to me. Not us. Me." And that was it. That was the final nail in the coffin. It was never about family. It was never about love or gratitude or respect. It was about what I could do for them, what I could give them. And now that the gravy train had run dry, now that there was no wedding, no party, no perfect photos to post online, now they were willing to say anything to reel me back in. I closed the email. Didn't reply. Instead, I opened a blank email window, typed in Tyler's address, and wrote, "I wish you both the best. But I'm done being part of a family that only wants me around when they need something. Please do not contact me again." I hit send, blocked his number, blocked Amanda's, blocked their parents, cleared my call history, deleted the group chat. And just like that, lighter than I'd felt in years, I walked away. The wedding never happened, of course. At least, not the way they planned. A few months later, I heard through a mutual acquaintance that Tyler and Amanda had gotten married at a courthouse, no photographer, no catering, no big lakefront venue with a giant oak tree in the background. No family gathered around them, just a couple of uncomfortable witnesses and a bored-looking judge. Amanda's parents refused to foot the bill after realizing how much it would cost to reschedule everything last minute. Tyler tried to pull together some friends for a backyard party afterward, but most people bailed, suddenly busy when the time came. Their picture-perfect dream had shriveled up and died, not because I was petty or vindictive, but because it was never built on anything real to begin with. Just entitlement and hollow expectations. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life. I reconnected with my Aunt Rachel, the black sheep, and found a kindred spirit there, someone who knew exactly what it meant to be cast out of a toxic family dynamic and come out stronger for it. We became close, like family was supposed to be. I poured my energy into friendships that felt mutual, jobs that respected my boundaries, hobbies that actually brought me joy. And for the first time in a long, long time, I woke up every morning knowing that I didn't owe anyone anything just to be loved. I had learned the most important lesson of my life. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to let the bridge burn and then walk away without ever looking back.